I keep hitting the wrong button. I got big fingers, everybody. Welcome back to hour number 4 of Stream-A-Mania. Thank you so much to everybody that's been hanging out the entire time here with me. Like, golly, I mean, we've done some things here. I do got to make one minor change because I caught it kind of late. But yeah, you know, it's what happens when you're doing when you're doing everything live. When you're doing everything live, what do you expect, huh?
We're live, pal.
That's right. We are definitely live, pal. Cheyenne is here. You will not be able to see him for a second because I got to make one minor change so everything looks right because we know who he is. We know who he isn't. Here is Cheyenne. Cheyenne is back for the next hour of Stream-A-Mania. Cheyenne, thanks so much for joining.
Thank you guys for having me. Stream-A-Mania, hour number 4 now. Buttons are for the week. Pardon me, I'm looking at my run sheet and I'm texting my sister-in-law so we're decorating our hallways because I'm a homebody that way. So yeah, I want to shout everybody out, the chat, great banter. What a pleasure it was to talk with Jess and get a different perspective with pro wrestling. We're doing a killer thing here tonight, and we're only doing it because of you. So shout out to Tristen. Chat, blow up Tristen with praise. This is Tristen's idea. This is his moment. You know, Tristen's setting the table so that all of us could eat, including the fans, because our opinions matter. And I just want to shout out Tristen. There's 2 of me now. I love that. So yeah, you know, everybody, if you can, I'm obviously on a little bit of a delay because I'm not seeing it ticking all that well here. But you know, guys, I hid my porn so that I could put you guys on the screen. So blow up the chat, all right, and put Tristen over. I did a podcast yesterday, and my friend messaged me, goes, "Hey, I saw your porn last night." I'm like, "What? What are you talking about? I only watch porn on my tablet like an adult." But listen, guys, thanks so much for joining us here on hour 4.
9 o'clock on Thursday, November 6th. We are here, and Cheyenne and I are here. We have a really big announcement that we're going to make. I just want you guys to hang out for a little bit because, you know, granted the announcement was here, I might have dropped the Easter egg or a little hint on the community section of our YouTube channel. You know, I might have dropped the hint. That's something that, you know, if you get it, you get it. If you don't, you don't. But I tell you that big things are coming. When Cheyenne says that I'm setting the table for everybody to eat, I'm really passionate about that. But what we're talking about in hour 5, we're going to be talking about what AEW and TNA have to do to level up to WWE. Everybody wants to know, can AEW or TNA truly ever compete with WWE? Not in headlines, not in hype, but in dominance. And tonight, we're breaking that down, what each company needs to level up from production to storytelling to star power. Welcome to hour 4 of Stream-A-Mania, and this is not going to be about tribalism. This is going to be more about growth of the whole entire industry. In my lane, I am the performer with the insight and with what the talent feels and how representation matters. Cheyenne, he'll be here for the structure, the branding, and the fan perception. Even though Cheyenne is the voice. He is the voice because he's in the wrestling business as well, too. But I want to know this from the chat. Who is closer to catching WWE? Is it AEW or is it TNA? What do you think, Cheyenne? Who's closer?
Oh man, I think from the standpoint of star power, AEW. From the standpoint of weekly television, TNA.
You see, I think that it's TNA as well. It's AEW as well too. But I feel that that's the reason why WWE is working with TNA, because I feel that not only do the wrestlers, but the fans need another option. The fans and the wrestlers, they need TNA to survive. Because when there was only one place for everybody to go, it was kind of meh. Now, when there was 2 places for everybody to go, it's either you're doing the Andrade, you're going back and forth. Right? But now that you have TNA, and you might have a possible 3rd place to go to where you could probably make some decent money, I think it's all the rage.
But TNA has always been an option. There was one point where they were the only option. You got to remember, too, MLW doesn't blow up into the mainstream until basically the late 2010s. I mean, when the Monday Night Wars were over and WCW closed its doors, it even took TNA a year and a half to become, you know, a thought. Well, it was always a thought, but to become launched at that. So TNA's always been the alternative, which is what they initially marketed themselves as. Then, of course, you have AEW. MLW became into the mainstream, especially with streaming and availability. And then the NWA has always been around, but it's had these different resurgences, right? With TNA at launch, pre-COVID, NWA launching again. I definitely think TNA. I feel like I'm not giving you guys an answer, but I feel like it is the answer. Star power wise, AEW, television product TNA, because even going back to the COVID era, everybody praises WWE and obviously AEW, but TNA was putting out incredible television week to week during the pandemic. And I just feel like that's the right answer. They kind of have the TV formula for their roster, for their time slot down. Not that AEW doesn't, but there's some weeks that it's like it's a little bit ill formatted.
Okay. I feel you make some really good points, but let's dive in. Let's take a look at. Let's start with the company. Let's start with AEW. And AEW, in case you didn't know, AEW is the number 2 company. They're the one that burst onto the scene, and they promised change to the whole entire world. What we're going to do is we're going to evaluate AEW's journey, successes, and where it's plateaued. Let's talk about the early momentum. For me, AEW felt like a rebellion. It felt like the alternative that mattered. It felt like what we needed in the pro wrestling business. But I think there was one problem with AEW in the beginning, Cheyenne. You know what I felt that problem was?
What's that?
They didn't know who they were. They were trying to figure out their identity. Were they the wrestling company that just let anybody wrestle? Let me tell you, there's a lot of people in there in the AEW's early days that were straight garbage juice. They were garbage juice. But then AEW eventually worked out some of its kinks, because I used to watch AEW every single week, and I can't remember the time when I got lost. Maybe it was the 10,000 super kicks from the Young Bucks. I don't know. But there's people out there that enjoy and like that style of wrestling.
Well, I actually feel like almost dumb for not realizing that, they might have launched without an identity, right? They probably launched with the idea of they launched specifically saying we are going to compete with the WWE. We're going to be in scale, and it was announcement after announcement, right? Like Jericho, the Bucks, Cody, these were the top free agents. Every wrestling promotion that's going to launch is going to have new stars, either for the national fan, the casual fan, or the diehard, right? Because you might know every wrestler in the world, but it's like, oh, who's this guy? You might be like, oh, this indie guy that I love is going to finally make it on TV, what have you. So you make a great point that I feel I'm very upset that I didn't think of initially. But I really do think that All-In pay-per-view, that's the one, right, where Moxley... The All-In pay-per-view does not define him as an identity because that's pre-AEW. But is it All Out that has the Moxley debut, the Jericho Omega title match? I think that's a great pay-per-view that identifies their identity, and I think they kept that identity for a bit. I think that first pay-per-view set a great tone.
It did, because I remember me and my friend Lewis, we purchased it. We used to take turns purchasing and sharing in our password with each other. So I purchased the first couple of, AEW events. But I think it did set the tone and let everybody know that they were here. They had a presentation that was just as polished as WWE, and it didn't feel like it was something that they did at, the Phil Sheridan Arena in New Jersey.
Sure.
No offense, because I've wrestled in the Phil Sheridan Arena.
I get. Well, also keep in mind, let's compare initial debuts. If you take a look at the TNA show, the first ever TNA show, you watch that, there's no serious threat to them, to the WWE, from the presentation to the matches.
Not at all.
It's an alternative, but it's not a serious threat. The first AEW pay-per-view, before they were PLEs, kind of sort of is like, whoa, this is a serious threat. They're not going to beat WWE, and if they are, it's not going to happen overnight. But it's certainly that perception is reality. Like, oh, there's a smack in the face to the marketplace.
Well, okay, I say this then. The only reason that AEW probably felt like a threat, and sorry if anybody feels that it's disrespectful what I'm about to say, but the only reason AEW ever felt like a threat was because of Tony Khan's money.
So are you trying to... Okay. So with WCW, I mean, it's the same argument. So Tony Khan's money... But did it have the same validity as when Turner buys the NWA in 88, 89?
Well, yeah, when Turner started putting some real money behind WCW, it became a threat to WWE.
Sure.
WWE didn't know how to behave. The only look, Dixie Carter respectfully was never in the tax bracket of Vince McMahon. Vince McMahon,
and neither was her father.
Neither was her father, and they didn't have public money from the stock exchange. But TNA, I mean AEW got that football money. That football money good. They got that. Yeah, they got that football, that Fulcrum FC money. That money good. Like Tony Khan father's not no slouch financially.
So, there's a lot of schematics here. But whether you had the money, I mean, you needed the money to do it, but the presentation, the entrances, the stars. A year later, you have Sting. 2 years later, you have CM Punk. There's like that uptick in those first 3.5, 4 years that just cannot be denied at scale.
Right.
They also tackled the fact of being on Wednesdays, which was an obscure wrestling night at the time.
True. And that's the best night for them to go on.
Oh, for sure. For sure it was. I mean, Mondays and Fridays were locked, and you don't want to do weekend wrestling ever.
Right. I'll give you a moment.
And to be fair, again, different scale. The production between, they're right in the middle from WWE to TNA. I really think the star power is clearly there
in AEW.
In AEW, it's there. Whereas, TNA is they're just doing better week to week. Consistently better week to week television.
I agree.
I don't want to make it sound like I'm ragging on AEW. Like I'm not.
And we're not.
I'm not one of those. I'm a WWE guy, so fuck everything else. I'm not like that. I look at wrestling in totality as best as I can.
Let's go to the chat real quick, and don't forget, I want you to have your voice heard. Do an hour 5 973-826-0101. Leave a message. If you got a hot take that you want to leave it. If you got something a question you want to ask me, leave it. You got a comment that you want to make and I can make a conversation out of it, leave it. If you think that your voice sounds funny, still call. If you sound like, if you're a big grown man like me, you got a squeaky voice, that's fine, call. If you're a little dainty woman, you got a deep voice, that's fine, call. I'm looking forward to hear from you. But here's what the chat says so far in this 4th hour of Stream-A-Mania. Heel Vega says that AEW is closer right now. He says that TNA is affiliated with WWE. He says that Stu drops his view on wrestling, and Cheyenne, if you're looking for a different YouTube channel to check out Stu's view. He has a very unique way of just conveying how he does wrestling. I don't want to tell you, it's different. It's different. And when I clicked on it, because I look at everybody's channel to see what everybody do. And when he came to the channel a couple of days ago, I stood and I looked and I went, "What is different?" For me personally, because of the differentness, it made me watch. Okay. He's not a semi-retired pro wrestler. He's just different. So yeah, check out Stu. All right, let's go back to the chat. So yeah, Stu says with his view, TNA is closer, and there's only one reason, because they work with WWE. It's a trick question. All right. BC says definitely TNA. Stu, with his view, who's number 1 in the chat, says that AEW is just black and gold NXT, and eventually the top guys will come to WWE. Not Swerve or Ospreay or Hangman, but Ricochet will go back one day. Mercedes will eventually, and Willow will go too. Do you think, Cheyenne, that Mercedes Moné will ever go back to the WWE? Without knowing...
Yes. but I don't know if it will be after this deal or after the one after.
Why do you think she'll go back?
Well, I mean, the rumblings are, and again, I have as much facts as anybody else who speculates, right?
Right.
The rumblings are that it was, part of it was obviously creative, and the other part of it was cash. Like, she felt that she was in the same tax bracket, if you will, to take a term from Tristen, as Becky Lynch and Charlotte Flair, and she was not monetarily satisfied with what she was offered. She was not made a bad offer. She just felt that she was closer to the neighborhood of a Charlotte, of a Becky. This was at a time where those top women were not making numbers close to Roman, John, etc. I definitely think with the way that she's changed, as an intellectual property, I definitely think the way that money has changed even before TKO buying WWE, and I think the way the money has changed since TKO has bought WWE, they can certainly afford her if nothing else. And then not too dissimilar to AJ coming back, Charlotte coming back from injury. There's a whole new crop of women now for her to get in there with, and that in and out of itself is very, very appealing. So yes, I do believe she'll come back someday, but I'm actually going to say it'll be not this deal, the following.
I think that when she comes back to the WWE, anything that she wants, she's probably going to be able to negotiate it. But I think that when she comes back to the WWE, when she does, the only reason I think that she'll come back to the WWE is because she's a New England girl. She's a New England gal. And in our bloodstream, people that lived in the East Coast, the Northeast of the United States, we know WWE. We grew up with WWE.
Sure.
And it's where she would probably, I'm speaking for Mercedes, never hearing from Mercedes, but I think that's someplace where she would want to retire. When she's ready. I don't think she's ready to retire tomorrow, but when she's ready to retire, I think that's the place that she could be. All right, so let's go back.
But you can't beat that because the crowds, the payout, and the emotions are going to be night and day. Not that AEW is not in sold out buildings, but it's a different scope, right? Like the magic is a little different. Now, I don't know if her winning all those championships helps her legacy to the I think it's helped her legacy to the level of which is, it's gone as far as it can. You know, it's not like she took one title, redefined a fed. You know, it's just everywhere she goes. And here's the thing, a lot of indie promoters refuse to pay whatever her fee is, supposedly, because it's so high.
Right.
So the methodology is there.
You want to pay all that money for Mercedes Moné to come to your company just for her to win the belt and show it on AEW? It might be worth it. It might be worth it at that point.
Right.
It might be. So in the chat, Heel Vega says that Sonny Kiss and Joey Janela were garbage juice. But Stu says, with his view, that Sonny Kiss could have been something, but Tony only brings them out doing June for commercials. And
a lot of the first run AEW indie talent that was hired could have been stars. They were just misbooked, misguided, whatever you want to go with. I'm not sitting here telling you world champions. I'm not sitting here telling you face of the company. The first crop of indie guys that AEW signed could have been stars.
I think Sonny Kiss could have been a star.
Sonny Kiss could have been a star. Janela could have been the star. They could have easily put Santana and Ortiz in a much, much, much better light after those first 15 months.
Right, because look at him now.
Sammy Guevara could have taken off better than him having to go away and come back and now be in that higher mid-card conversation. I think Darby, Hangman, those are the ones that benefited the most from the first run of... I mean, Hangman was also a Ring of Honor star, so I think versus Darby was in MLW, but not national. I think Darby benefited the most from that first run. Jurassic Express, Orange Cassidy, but like Private Party, they could have gone significantly further. The fact that they weren't in that tag conversation is a travesty in and of itself. Aside from being a sidekick, I think Jake Hager could have been a star, and he could have feuded with Jericho the way that MJF did.
But Jake Hager, in Jake Hager's mind, I heard him talking somewhere a couple weeks ago. Jake Hager thought that he was a bigger star than he actually was.
I mean, that's the scale, right? If you're telling me Jake Hager is in the same conversation as like Jericho, Moxley, Omega,
not at all. Not at all.
Then no.
Not at all.
Then no. I mean, what's the scale, right? You know, if you're telling me that Jake Hager could be, and he's a very nice man. I've worked with him before. He definitely could be a top heel. He could be the guy that works with the guys. And he's a much better worker than he gets credit for. But in that scope of Pantheon megastars, I don't know. I really don't know.
Okay, so let's talk about this then. In my opinion, as a semi-retired pro wrestler, I feel that AEW gives the locker room freedom, but freedom without structure can get messy. Cheyenne, you've been in more locker rooms than Jesus has disciples, and I'm sure that you've seen locker rooms with no structure. What do you think?
So I have to sadly give the political answer of, if that is true, absolutely. It's funny, right? Freedom without structure is, oh, I'm gonna jaywalk. It's not my light. I'm gonna cross the street. Oh, it's 5 o'clock traffic and there's cars zooming across all 3 lanes. I'm gonna go for it. So to go with your idea of freedom without structure, yeah, I mean, again, we've heard all different types of rumors through the years. I don't know how accurate they are. I've never asked the friends that I have that work there. I've never gotten into that with them. But if that's true, then yeah, because it to a degree, and I mean, all top stars have done this, but if Jericho can walk into an office and say, I'm not doing it,
right,
and if he says that every time he's presented something, then that's a problem. If you have Mercedes Moné who says, I don't want to work with her, she's not in my league, and the job is to create her to get to your league, you know, or whatever the case is. I'm just making up hypotheticals for the argument. But yeah, any locker room with freedom but no structure, right? That's like, oh guys, we bought you all water to take back to your hotels, and one guy takes
right,
you know, all the cases of water so he can take it for the loop over 5 days.
Right.
You know, yeah, that's tough. But you also hear in pro wrestling, oh, this guy didn't want to put that guy over. To one degree or another, it's collaborative, right? And I think, oh, well, why don't you want to put him over? Well, I don't think it's his time. I think a year from now, as opposed to if a guy doesn't want to let go of that spot, that payday, you know, and those things are very, very true. Versus flat out not wanting to do a job for somebody because they pushed you at catering by accident. That's prima donna stuff. I don't know. I feel like I feel like I have to know for sure that those things are happening for me to like talk that type of shit.
So I think that, I don't know, from what I understand, I feel that AEW does give, from what I understand, I've never worked for AEW. I may know 1 or 2 people that work for AEW. I've never heard from them directly, but from what I've heard, from what I've smelled, the rumor and innuendo says that AEW, they get to deliver their storylines, and Tony Khan is just like, I mean, the wrestlers get to deliver their storylines, and Tony Khan goes, okay, sure, we'll put that in somewhere. So I feel that maybe the issue is that Tony Khan probably just has to say no a little bit more than yes, or give him a, hey, that's a great idea, we'll consider it.
Number one, I agree with that. So let's go that route. One thing I've seen through the years is like that Tony Khan handles all the storylines, and when you have a wrestling company of that scale, that's way too much to take on.
Sure is.
That's way too much to take on. Excuse me. I'm a fan of booking committees because it filters.
Yep.
It filters all ideas. It certainly filters yours. And we've talked about this when you interviewed me years ago. One of the things that I love about doing creativity with the guys in the indies is, okay, Tristen, you've got a great beginning, and we could use that for our Jericho Hangman Page story. Just that idea you had, that would be a great middle part, maybe for their second or third match. And, you know, not for nothing, I'm cool with my idea just being the blow off, right? Mm-hmm. So if you come together and have that, or somebody's going to go, although you might have somebody on the other side of the room. Might be, Mike Morgan or Stu the View and be like, yeah, but if he takes those 2 losses when he gets the win, doesn't mean anything. Singular validity is tough to sell. It's tough to sell. I got this great idea. It's the best idea ever. And then you put it out there and it's crickets.
Right. Because everybody thinks their idea is good until they put it.
At the end of the day, if everybody's watching, that's one argument. But that live reaction sinks everything else.
Yep.
And then again, devil's advocate, you're not gonna know until you stick it out in front of them. So damn if you do, damn if you don't. The one thing I will say is that if it's true that Tony Khan handles all that singularly, thoroughly, concisely, that's a poor decision if that is true, because I don't have the juxtaposition to say as such.
So let me give the chat a little bit of love right now. Maria says that Jake Swagger couldn't get over in WWE. Either he just delusional about who he is. Maria also says that why would Mercedes Moné leave working with Timeless Tony for AJ Lee? I love Maria. Maria's crazy.
Huh.
Maria says, why would Mercedes Moné leave working with Timeless Tony for AJ Lee? Timeless Tony Storm is light years better than AJ Lee. Yo, Maria is the kind of woman, Cheyenne, from what I understand from Maria is an old school wrestling fan. She's a little bit more tenured in the pro wrestling fandom than we are. But Maria likes to roll a grenade in the room and just walk out.
But Maria, here's the thing. She's going to work Timeless Tony Storm X amount of times, feud with her probably 2-3 times before her next deal is up, versus none of the 4 horsewomen got to work AJ because she left right after they got called up, right?
True.
So, and again, the new crop after that, like, if and when Mercedes goes back, there's half the locker room she would have worked with 1,000 times in her first run, and then there's going to be so many fresh faces that you're talking about a decade's worth of television.
So what do you think some of Tony Khan's strengths are, Cheyenne? Do you feel that, what are some of his strengths? What are some of his weaknesses, in your opinion? Remember, we don't know him. We've never worked with him. We're just freestyling right now from what we see on the television, assuming that he's the person that does all the booking. What do you think are some of his strengths and some of his weaknesses?
He doesn't do it as much, but the crown jewel of it was his treatment of Sting. He books legends and older talent very well.
Okay. I think I understand why he books those talents really well.
From guest appearances to the tribute appearances to the matches, he books the legends and legacy talent very, very well.
Why?
Because he knows they're a fabric of pro wrestling, and he knows he's on originally a pro wrestling network. He knows that there is an identity, even if it's a generation and a half later. He knows that there's an identity with TBS, TNT, and pro wrestling.
Okay, the reason why I'm thinking that he books them better is because Tony Khan, at the end of the day, he's a pro wrestling fan just like me and you.
Sure.
And he understands Sting. He watched Sting fall from the ceiling, with the bat and beat up the whole entire NWO. So I feel like, as a wrestling fan, he can book the older stars better because he understands them, and maybe that's where the disconnect is. He doesn't understand the younger fans. So, I mean, the younger wrestlers. So when the younger wrestlers come through and say, "Oh yeah, this is my gimmick. That's what I do," it's like, okay, cool, we'll try it. And
that's something I've been in those positions too, because some of these younger guys can't explain their gimmick or explain what it is or what they're trying to convey, and they don't even know what it is. And then, for example, if you come and say, "Oh, that's cool. Have you ever been a pirate?" Because it's a gimmick and it gets you emotion and sympathy and empathy. Nah, man, I don't want to be no pirate. Oh, you just want to be in tights and not get over for another 5 years. Okay,
right,
cool.
Okay, no problem.
Like that's something that I think happens. I definitely think he gives suggestions to talent. I mean, we've heard stories that the talent doesn't listen to the advice of the agents, supposedly.
No, you shouldn't have a job.
And that I believe. Because that's a locker room thing, not Tony.
Do you think that AEW still must watch, or has it lost its identity?
Okay, so one of the things that Tony Khan does very well is that he makes sure that AEW is must watch, right? There's an announcement twice a month. There are
his announcements are trash.
There's major title matches on free wrestling television, sometimes twice a month or more, sometimes the same week as the pay-per-view. Again, it's not consistently must watch, but I'm probably still watching no less than 2 Dynamites a month out of 4 because of the sales pitch. I watched last night to find out more about the new championship, and I think there's too many. So that alone tells you, what his measure is for advertising. You
see, Cheyenne, I think the issue is that Tony Khan, he underdelivered when it came to the announcements. He would hype up the announcements and make you think, oh my God, something great's going to happen. What's happening? Tickets are going on sale somewhere. Like, bro, don't do that to me. Don't do that to me. You made me tune into your show for you to give me a bum-ass announcement to tell me that tickets are available to your show. Congratulations. Right. Because I waited all day for that. That's not an announcement. Your announcement should be Sting is coming. Your announcement should be, this is the match that we're going to be having at the next big pay-per-view. Your announcement shouldn't be that tickets are going on sale. Those are some of the reasons and the disconnects that I have with TNA. AEW, I mean. I feel that AEW still must-watch or has it lost its identity? I think no, it's neither. I think that AEW is still not must-watch. I think that AEW is sometimes watch. Has AEW lost its identity? No. AEW, they know who they are. AEW only caters to a specific kind of fan. Right. There are people that just like pro wrestling matches and they just want to watch wrestling matches. They don't care about any of the gaga. They don't care what kind of teeth R-Truth.
Television from time to time has a lot of gaga, and that goes back to my argument of the formatting.
And when we say gaga, we're talking about all the stuff in between. Like in the WWE, they give a lot of gaga. Like last week on AEW, last week on NXT, Joe Hendry popped out of a trash can.
Right.
So it's like, that's gaga. But that's not something that AEW does. But when AEW does it, they don't do it well.
Well, it's tough because you're ultimately booking a television show, because doing 8 matches or whatever it is on TV, 5 matches, of just wrestling would kill ratings, would just tank. But to structure a solid show, it's not easy, and I think there was a time where they were doing that on a very, 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 very regular basis. This is not that.
Just want to remind everybody that hour five, we are going to be just me and you. I'm going to be the host with you. If you have a question, you have something that you want to say, 973-826-0101. Call and leave a message. Another message just came in. It's hot. Will I get through all the messages? I don't know. But it's my goal to get through all the messages today. And I just want to thank all you guys for hanging out with us today. This hour in the 4th hour, Cheyenne and I, we're talking about what AEW has to do. What AEW and TNA have to do to level up. Because AEW, they started loud, and TNA, they started long. And that longevity might just be the key difference. You see, because when you look at TNA, they've got heart, right? But a heart doesn't sell tickets without presentation. And I think that's what they're working on.
Well, I definitely think the presentation of what they do at the studios in Nashville is fantastic. That's perfect for television wrestling, especially considering that they're not going from arena to arena every week also. Because let's also face it, TNA is not a touring wrestling company right now.
True.
I definitely agree with you, because I was very disappointed in the Bound for Glory stage. So, yeah, I definitely think they could use some presentation pointers to some degree or another. But the storylines with TNA, they're there. And we just went all the way from, June or July with whatever the summer pay-per-view was, or where we all thought Santana was going to win the pay-per-view, and we wrote it out another 4 or 5 months.
Right.
Everybody was hooked on that. This Tessa Blanchard storyline with the backstage interviewer, everybody was involved in that when we just had that blow off. the Hardys and the Dudleys for the last time ever, that was just an attraction match.
Right.
We were all invested from the announcement onward.
Right. It was nothing special.
So I definitely think the storylines are there. The interest, the what's going to happen next, it's there.
I think that what TNA has good now is that TNA has they have the better roster depth. You know, I think that by them being in bed with the WWE, you get to know more of their wrestlers. I think that TNA right now in 2026, TNA has one black eye. They got two eyes, but one of them is black. You know why that eye is black, Cheyenne?
Why is that?
Because they don't have TV properly. If they had national television like they had on Spike TV, you could say, all right, let me turn it on. When you want to watch TNA, Cheyenne, do you watch TNA?
Yeah.
How do you watch TNA?
I can't say on this broadcast.
Go ahead. You're in a safe space.
I watch it on my computer.
How do you watch it on your computer? And please don't say Pornhub.com.
Through the World Wide Web.
Is it one of those websites that restreams it?
I watched it on a website that Stephanie McMahon wants you to get.
Oh, you're talking about the VPN?
Yeah.
Bro, I got a VPN too. I watch NXT in the UK every single week.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's okay. That's all right. Shout out to Stephanie McMahon. You know,
no, I don't watch TNA on Pornhub. That's where the first Wolverine movie is.
What?
With the wire, you guys don't remember that? No, you guys remember when that movie leaked on Pornhub? No,
no, it's still there.
I think the first Wolverine movie with the green screen, the wires, the whole shit leaked on Pornhub. That was a big deal during the video piracy era of like 08, 09. Yeah.
So I think that I think that TNA just need better TV. How are you owned by a media company but you don't have great TV?
Well, that was the argument when
Ring of Honor?
When they had the affiliation with like New Japan, and New Japan was on at like 3 a.m.
Right.
For like 3 years. But you know, who was it that owned Ring of Honor for years? Sinclair, right?
Yeah, Sinclair.
How the hell could they not get a damn television deal? It's the same conversation.
They are a television company. How is it that you can't? To me, right. that stuff doesn't make any sense. And they had the slots
at that time too.
You see, I think the importance, though, is owning your niche instead of chasing WWE's formula. And I think that's where TNA messed up when they began. Because they had the whole entire idea of, you know what? Everybody says, oh, don't take a page out of WCW's book because WCW went out of business. WCW decided to carve out their own lane. And that's how WCW became a real threat to the WWE, WWF. Yeah. Now, when TNA was carving out their own niche, if you watch that video of Elix Skipper walking on the side of the cage, doing the Hurricanrana, you see me sitting there. I was going to TNA every single weekend at Soundstage 21 in Universal Studios Orlando. But when WWE got Hulk Hogan and Eric Bischoff there, I think that's when the problem was. The problem is that they decided that they wanted to be like WWE instead of just being like themselves. Push the guys like the AJ Styles. Say again?
I don't think it's like that anymore.
No, not anymore. But that's why they fell off the boat.
Well, it was also a transition period because let me tell you, when they stopped mimicking WWE and they started putting the title on guys like Eric Young in 2014, James Storm, Bobby Roode, all those guys after the fact, until they would eventually leave. Again, we talked about it with Jess. That restructure period is very tough. It's very tough to reset a wrestling company, and it does not happen overnight.
True. It's taken literally 11 years.
I do think from Eric Young's title reign on, and then on top of that, Matt Hardy was there. Some of his best work.
Yes.
His most memorable work happened at that time. Jeff, Cody, EC3. And that's all during a restructuring period at TNA. And I think you needed that period to get to the consistency you're at today.
Maria says, please explain to me the problem with AEW wrestling fans loving wrestling too much. That's like going to a restaurant and complaining because there's too much food being served in the establishment. So when I say that AEW fans love wrestling a lot, I'm talking, and it's not a dig at TNA. I mean AEW wrestling fans. What I'm saying is that what AEW wrestling fans love normally, they just love pure wrestling. They don't care about They don't care about somebody in a clown costume coming out there and wrestling. That will make them turn off their television. But when they get somebody that comes out there and does the Dean Ambrose style matches, the Dana Bryanson, whatever his name is matches, they love that stuff. They love that they get Jericho out there. Jericho gives them the sports entertainment, right? They give them the little sprinkle.
Everybody wants to be entertained one way or another.
They do. But I think that the AEW fans, they like wrestling different from WWE, and that's what I mean when I say that. But I think it's definitely.
Sure. I think a lot of AEW fans were born out of the fact that WWE conquered the market for 20 years up to that point.
So, do you think that TNA can become the true underdog? Do you think TNA can become the true underdog comeback story of modern wrestling?
It's possible. It's possible. When what in your eyes would establish them as that?
As an underdog or the comeback?
The comeback.
I think what would establish them as the comeback, if they can get back to playing into bigger arenas, I think what would establish them as the comeback is if they are able to be a threat to AEW. Not to carve out, not to jump in AEW's lane, but to get eyes from AEW and shift them over to TNA. I think that's what would make them a threat.
If you've been watching anything with this WWE NXT TNA partnership, that alone should get you watching TNA wrestling.
I agree. I watch.
I mean, it's very, very possible to say that they're close, but that's tough to measure if they can or can't because of the fact that they're affiliated for one. I want to word this the right way. Ugh. That's tough. I mean, who's the top star right now besides Santana?
I can't tell you. I'd be lying to you.
All right, so Santana, Ziggler, because Cardona's not signing anybody. Kazarian, Hendry's still there. We'll put him there.
But I feel like Mike Santana is the biggest star because he's the one that I normally see on NXT. Yeah, Moose is a big star, but like he's not the biggest star within the realm of TNA. I think the biggest star within the realm of AEW, I'm sorry, TNA is Mike Santana.
Yeah, definitely him. Definitely Mike. It could have been Moose, which it was during his heel run.
Right.
But even in scope, yeah, Mike Santana.
I want to take a second to appreciate everyone for sitting here. I've been here since 6 p.m. live. We are now in hour 4 with one more hour to go. Trust me, it is past my bedtime, but I am here. I'm here with you guys. I'm looking forward to talking with you guys and playing your calls in hour 3. In case you forgot, the number is 973-826-0101. If you have a question, if you have a comment, if you have a concern, you have something that you want to say, if you want to call and say that you think that AEW is the best thing since sliced bread, call and say that. Stand on your business. I want to hear what you think. If you think that TNA should just go out of business, all right, I don't agree that it should go out of business, but you know what? Call and explain why you think it should go out of business. Whatever you think. 973-826-0101. In the 5th hour, the next hour of Stream-A-Mania, it's going to be just us. Okay, so let's take a look at this. So what exactly separates WWE from everybody else? It's not the money. It's the machine. You see, because WWE has mastered consistency, their worst show still looks good.
But part of that machine is the money, and part of that is the presentation.
I mean, right. But they look great. WWE is so polished that when you look on television, that sometimes even when the way that everything works with the cameras and the lights and the pyro and the music and the announcers and just everything that just feels like music.
That whole tie-in.
Right. Like, I hate when I see indie wrestling shows and it's like, why are you guys recording asses? Right? Why are you guys showing people's butt cheeks in the ring? Take the camera and move the camera around to somebody's face, because that's where you make your money. When wrestling fans are watching wrestling, they're there for the pure emotion. There's no emotion in my ass.
But the emotion is just not the same scale as what WWE gives you. It's there. I mean, how could you not say that, you know, Darby beating Moxley was not emotional? How could you not say that, that Santana gifting the TNA title to his daughter is not emotional? Is it in the same scope as Cody finishing the story?
It is, but the point that I'm trying to prove though is that WWE has mastered consistency. Their worst show still looks good, even though the show may be straight garbage juice.
Okay.
It still looks great.
Yeah, but looks is one thing. You can only cover it with perception for so long. If you got all this beautiful gear and you suck as a wrestler, you can't hide from that.
And when you look at the whole machine, it's the marketing, it's the branding, it's the legacy, it's the training system. Those are the things that make them stand apart from everybody. There's no real training system anywhere else. There's no real training system in TNA. There's no real training system in AEW. AEW and TNA are not doing what they need to do to grow the business.
It's also It's also not too similar to the fact of practice makes perfect. There's a performance center. It's open to everybody, be it the developmental talent or the veterans. You can go work out, do your XYZ. I know I have known in the last 10 years a lot of TV talent that, like, I've been to the gym in 20 years.
Damn.
Some of them are just naturally strong, or they're just beforehand. And I haven't been to the gym in years.
Well, I mean, we are getting ready to drop this big announcement that's going to be changing the way that everybody will view the Tristen Law show. That's coming up in about 2 minutes. But here's my question that I want to know from you, Cheyenne.
Okay.
And I want to know from the audience as well too. Can AEW or TNA ever replicate that structure, or do they have to, or do they have to redefine success? I'm talking about what WWE is doing.
I think they have to redefine success. I think they need to fine-tune the formula that they're both using. I think AEW and TNA need to go, okay, these 7 things work great for us. This is what we do well, and we're going to heighten them and accentuate them. And then they need to really evaluate that list of things that is not working for them and make the acts as well. That's AEW, that's TNA in general, because there's talent in both companies. Even WWE, that to me, it's like, they still work there. So... because there's a lot of things, like I said, I just told you, AEW does great at promoting the shows. What if you get free title matches? That alone is the footing for a good company. But then you go to the ring, it's like, oh, that's it.
Well, the reason why you get free title matches is because they have so many damn titles to go around.
Well, yeah, which is the other thing too. They would have, they being AEW, would have to restructure the entire complexion of their championships in their respective divisions.
I think that TNA and AEW, they need to redefine their success. They should take the parts of WWE that work really well. They should figure out the marketing. They should figure out the branding. They don't have the legacy. Well, TNA might have the legacy, but nobody cares about the legacy, But the training system, get some kind of training system somewhere. WWE is just gobbling up the market. They have they have the whole WWE ID system to where they're just working with all these schools. Maybe somebody needs to take a page out of that book and do that. But I told everybody there was an announcement coming for the Tristen Law show. Cheyenne, would you like to make the announcement?
It would be my honor. We're here to announce to you on behalf of the Tristen Law show and the future Tristen Law podcast network that Main Event Conversations with the voice, Sean Ortiz, is coming to the Tristen Law show in the winter of 2023. 6. We're very, very excited to bring you an alternative program to the budding podcasting network. I'm looking forward to talking to some great people, some top talent, and talking to some of you for main event conversations with Cheyenne Ortiz.
You know, when I first met Cheyenne, me and Cheyenne and myself, we both was in the ECPW locker room, and there was Ace Pro Wrestling. I wanted to work for them forever. You know, Cheyenne gave me my opportunity there. You know, Cheyenne is more than a friend. You know, Cheyenne is a brother. Even though we live in the same close proximity, and you never say, "Yo, bro, you want to meet for lunch?" But that's not the point. The point is that you are dependable, and I've watched what you've done before as far as it comes to interviewing, and I think that Cheyenne, you're going to do a really good job here on the Tristen Law Show. Cheyenne is going to be bringing you interviews from all over pro wrestling. If you want to know somebody, Cheyenne is going to be the person that's going to introduce you to them. It's going to be indie wrestlers. It's going to be wrestlers. Eventually, it's going to be wrestlers that you see on TV. And I'm telling you, when we shoot the shot, oh, that shot's going to be big. And it's going to be live. It's going to be right here on the Tristen Law Show channel here on YouTube. And that's the big announcement.
And I'm looking forward to it. We've got graphics and color schemes and things lined up for you. And it's going to be great, and I'm looking to ask a lot of questions that other interviewers are afraid to ask the people in question.
And if you guys are worried, will I still be here? Yes, I'm not going anywhere. You will still see me a couple times, multiple times in the week. I'm not going anywhere. I will be here, though, doing the live show. I will be the producer. I will be the person in the shadows pressing all the buttons while Cheyenne is doing his thing. So that will be my role. For main event conversations with Cheyenne Ortiz. You know, I do the production, you know, for myself for the Tristen Law Show. So everything that you're seeing here, everything that you hear here, you know, the videos, all the clips, I do all that myself, and I'm going to be taking that and lending it to my friend. And, you know, so all he has to do is pretty much, you know, just be the talent. Just do what you're good at, and I'll do what I'm good at. You know, I don't mind interviewing people at all. Right, but for me, it's all I eat the whole entire pie. Or why eat the whole entire pie when I could split some of it with my friend?
That's what separates you from everybody else in the business, and we're friends, we're brothers, and your support has been unwavering. I'm looking forward to diving into this.
Maria says, please don't release Tristen the way that WWE released R-Truth.
No, we won't have him back 4 business days later. No, we're gonna keep him.
Nope, Cheyenne will be here. As the channel grows, as some things happen in the channel, you know, like I tell everybody all the time, and, you know, I'm very transparent about it. You know, I have a table. The table's long. You know, there's people in the chat that maybe one day we may be able to work together. You know, I intend to bring the Tristen Law Show, the channel, the network, I guess, you know, on the road. And right. and meet you guys, do live shows in person. Maybe a WrestleMania is coming. You know, we'll do a live show at WrestleMania or a pre-recorded show. I don't know, but there's the sky's going to be the limit here. Maria says, no, Stu's View says congrats. Fernando says awesome news, can't wait. Fernando says AEW is an alternative. It's not trying to be like WWE and shouldn't. To wrap that conversation up, I agree. I agree 100%. Because there's still so much more left on the bone, but we're going to get ready to bring you over into the hour that you guys all waited for. But wrestling, it only gets better when the competition gets stronger. The fans...
I agree. AEW is an alternative. TNA is an alternative. But just because they're alternatives doesn't mean that there's not things to change. Just because, we're different from WWE does not give you the unspoken hall pass to do stuff that you cannot explain.
True. Well, that is hour 4. Cheyenne, I appreciate you. Make sure you guys follow Cheyenne on social media. You guys can follow me too at The Real Big Tris, Instagram and Threads. You can follow Jess at Jess the Yapton, 2 E's, THEE Yapton. But you can follow Cheyenne at Cheyenne the Voice. Up next, in hour 5, the fans, you guys take the mic. And we are opening the floor to your calls, your hot takes, your questions. It's your turn to sound off. If you have a question or comment, make sure you call 973-826-0101. Go ahead and leave a message. Cheyenne, thank you so much for joining me, and I'll talk to you soon, my brother.